Tshepi, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. We'd really love to hear more about your sustainability journey, understand what's worked for you and what hasn't, and how GCX has supported you. To start off, how did sustainability first emerge at Discovery, and how has that journey evolved over time?
So the sustainability journey for Discovery started about 10 years ago. Started with the recommendations from the King 3 and Companies Act, where companies had to start looking at ESG in its broader sense. So to business, there was buy-in, and we commenced from there.
That's great to hear that there was buy-in, because often we still see today companies struggle with that.
Yes.
And if you were to look more broadly at your industry, how do you see sustainability shaping this sector? And are there any specific risks or opportunities you're seeing emerge?
I think the opportunities are more vast, of course, having to balance with the risks. But I mean, we've come, one could say we've come from a nothing, and we had to build, right? From a data point of view, and put in controls in place to ensure that we manage to capture and record the bulk of, what sustainability is, or what it means for most of our companies. From an industry point of view, I think there are systems and tools in terms of how we benchmark and measure ourselves against our peers, mostly in financial services. I think industry is transforming. We see companies are publishing sustainability reports. Companies are disclosing their data and information to CDP. So one only has to look at and access those reports just to get a sense of where are we going with that, what the trajectory looks like for 2050. Mm-hmm. So I think there is great improvement. One has to look at science-based targets initiatives just to see the companies that have signed up.
Just looking at your own sustainability journey, how would you say your approach has matured over time? And were there things that you found worked really well and others that you found there were good key insights to take away from?
Yes, and I mean, I could make an example with GCX in terms of how we started. Our processes were mostly manual. Everything was just on spreadsheets. There wasn't a lot of automation at the time, so it was intense and a bit too tedious, one could say, in terms of trying to capture. And even just maybe from a quality point of our reporting, what we're seeing now versus what we had then, I mean, there's quite great improvements. It speaks volumes in terms of how the platforms have matured in terms of the data that we have and the scope of it.
And if you were to look at the output, because I suppose the other side of what you're doing is reporting.
Correct.
How would you say Discovery's approach to reporting has evolved? And what value does it add to Discovery beyond simply meeting reporting requirements?
Following the correct processes, methodologies, metrics that are out there. I think the evolution has been amazing. And I mean, I make reference to when we started, just the scope of the reports, versus where we are now. We've seen great maturity in terms of data and the quality thereof, and through the engagements that we have with GCX in a way, the inroads that they've made in our businesses, it's quite amazing.
Previously, you mentioned the challenges you had prior to GCX and Dash around data collection. If we could just go into that a little bit more, and how would you say Dash has supported your team collaboration and efficiency?
Dash has been an amazing platform, I must say, and I see it growing in terms of trying to accommodate the many requirements of a net zero initiative. I think it's evolved in terms of driving objectives with the net zero goal from a target measurement point of view. I think we see it's real time. One only has to access the platform to just withdraw data and report on it. And yeah, it has been amazing.
And would you say that the challenges you've faced prior to Dash specifically around silos between teams has improved. And so if you were to champion data collection within Discovery, do you have the support with GCX and the use of the platform in removing those silos so that you are able to collect accurate data?
So there is buy-in. I think the challenges mostly one could say they're just back-end challenges. But in terms of data and disseminating and supplying it for reporting purposes, there is a bit of progress, although, like I indicated, still too manual a process from our end. And this is where GCX comes in terms of trying to assist us and provide support. I mean, we've come to a point now where we use modeling for net zero reporting, which I think then internally that's going to add value in terms of how we collate and gather the data for reporting in order to meet the set targets.
Tshepi, thank you so much for sharing your insights. It's been really valuable to hear, and really commendable sustainability journey that Discovery has been on. So
yes.
Thank you.
No, equally grateful for the partnership. I throw a whole lot of praise on the team that I work with. They're really amazing, and the support that we get from them. One would think they're an extension of what we do. Extra resources, which we don't have, but they've always been there in terms of supporting us and ensuring that we meet all the objectives that we've set.